Stop. Right? That's what you're supposed to do in your feed. Stop. We're back for another BizBuzz Live. Guys, this one's going to be exciting because we're just on the back end of the Super Bowl. So LinkedIn, YouTube, everyone that's watching here live, let's have a conversation about Super Bowl ads, why they were important, why they matter, what you saw. This is a good episode for y'all to get engaged. All right. If you saw some good things, this is the time to drop it here in the chat so we can talk about it. Stick around for this episode. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of BizBuzz Live. Guys, I'm your host, Chris Muzan, financial coach, financial strategist, taking you through all things finance. It's Friday the 13th. I don't know what that means to you, but for us, it means we're going to have a great show. We're going to have a great show here. We're live, LinkedIn, live on YouTube. So glad you guys could join us for another Friday that we get a chance to do this, have these financial conversations. I always start these shows by explaining the thesis of why we do this. I think the why behind anything is important. Sometimes people think, oh, you're just trying to sell a product or you're just trying to sell a thing, a course or get you into my mastermind or my community. I don't have any of those things for you. I don't have any place to really send you. On a day-to-day basis, I sit down with people and help them through their finances. I can help you on the insurance side of things and make sure that you have the proper protections in place with life insurance or disability or long-term care or annuities, those types of things. Outside of that, I'm really just here to give you the resources and the tools and be a guide to you down and along your financial journey. So I often say, by being here in this space for some time, guys, that the industry, the financial services industry, our industry has done a really good job of lots of the areas that people need to know, whether it's investing, right? Investing conversations are very prevalent here on the internet, here on the interwebs. The conversation around where to put your money, what things to invest in, the stock market, the S&P, mutual funds, all that type of stuff, very, very prevalent. We've done a good job of talking about how to get out of debt. Dave Ramsey is always good at teaching people how to, eliminate some debt and those types of things. Whether it be talking about insurance, their estate plan, their savings, I think we've done a good job. Then it comes to cash flow. Inevitably, when I have conversations with people financially, we always get back to some form of a cash flow conversation. What's coming in and where is it flowing out to? And do we have a handle on that? Again, the industry has done a good job with the downside of it, so to speak. Right? I don't call it a downside, but really the side of how to budget your money, how to track your money, how to keep more of the money that you're making. I think as an industry, we've done a good job at some of those things. But where have we not done a good job? We've not done a good job at teaching people how to make more money, how to earn more money, what opportunities are out there to earn more money, what ways can we go out and actually earn more income. We have to learn how to earn. This is why we started BizBuzz Live, is because I found that there's a need in teaching people how to think about earning money. The number one driver of your financial success is your ability to earn. That's the number one driver of your financial success, is your ability to earn money. And we typically have been taught one way to earn money, which is through a job. The pathways of getting to the best income at a job. I remember I've been here in the financial space for over a decade, so like 12, 13 years. And I used to remember sitting down with people where the only thing they would say is, man, if I could get to six figures in income, right? If I could just get a job that pays me six figures, they would tell me that all the time. Six figures, just need six figures. Now I sit down with people, and that's not the conversation. If people actually know how much they want or need, it's normally above that number, but they're a little bit more specific. Most people don't even know what they want or need as far as income. But I remember that used to be a ballpark of like, hey, I need to get to six figures. And then we'd only have one way. We got a degree, got an associate's or a bachelor's degree, and then we were only getting paid 60 grand. And then they told us, but if you go and get your master's degree, you'll go from 60 to 90. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll go back to school for these couple years. I'll pay some money to go back to school. Even though it's not getting me to six figures, it'll get me to 90, which gives me a better opportunity. So then I take those 2 years, those 3 years, whatever it takes to get the master's. I put some money into that. Then 3, 4, or 5 years later, I come out, and then they said I could make 90, but now I only make 80. And so I'm still not near my 100. So they convince us, hey, let's go back and get that doctorate. Let's go get that PhD. Because maybe when you get the PhD, you'll go from 80 to 120, and you'll definitely have opportunities then. And so then you go back for the other 3, 4 years, get your PhD, and then you come out and then you crack 100. You're making 105, but you got 110 in student loan debt now. Right? And then you have to figure out what job is going to pay you the best for now the amount of student loan debt you have, and the your expertise now that you've spent another 8 years in school, another 6 to 8 years you've spent in school after college. So we're going on 10 to 12 years of you being in higher education and still not making the salary that you want. Now you're in your early 30s, mid 30s, early 40s, and you're just now trying to get to the income that you want. Now we got to go bounce jobs. Now we go to climb the corporate ladder. Now we got to go sit under certain people at certain jobs, and we're still barely cracking the amount of money that we needed to make. This is the life for a lot of people. If I hit you, I didn't mean to miss you. I know it's tough. Somebody listening on LinkedIn, that I just described your life. I just described the the trajectory you were prescribed out of high school. And we've, deluded ourselves, and some of you are happy, but it's tough to be happy with $80,000 of student loans and you only make $100,000 a year, no matter how many degrees you got. So that's the path, though, that a lot of people have taken. And that's the path they told us. But what if that doesn't work out? Do we have another way to earn income? Do we know how the gig economy works? Do we know how entrepreneurship works? Do we understand how to collaborate, how to have partnerships, how to raise money, how to find industries that are booming, how to buy a business, how to get on an industry that's not declining, but is increasing in its revenues and all of those things? Do we pay attention to these things? Have we built skill sets in sales, marketing, finance, operations, systems? Have we built systems, or have we built skill sets in those? Because that will help you on the business side. Or do we just practice resume building? Right? I don't know, whatever that looks like in the corporate world. Networking or shaking hands to move up the corporate ladder. We have to give people new ways to earn income. We're living through a time where people are having cash flow problems. People are strapped. 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 7 out of every 10 people that you know, if they miss 2 paychecks as a household, they are not in good standing. They are bankrupt. They are in debt, major debt. Their house might be taken, right? Because of them missing 2 paychecks. That's paycheck to paycheck living. That means you're waiting on another paycheck to live your life this month. If that's not you, the question is, how long can you go without a paycheck? How long can you go without earning money until your family's in a tough position? This is what's happening. My thought is, my belief is we need to do a better job of learning how to earn money. That means, yes, you're going to have to learn new skill sets. That means you're going to have to think about earning money differently. There's nothing wrong with having the job. Again, nothing wrong with it until it doesn't get you to the life that you want. Then there is something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it while it's paying your bills and doing the things you want it to do. That's totally fine. But the moment that it's not doing those things and it's not getting you to the life that you want, we have to find different ways to make money. That's the message, y'all. That's the thesis. That's why we do BizBuzz Live here on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So we can start talking about what are the ways that we can go off and think about earning additional income. I'm not just giving you the side hustle things, the little business ideas. Ideas are commoditized. You have an idea. I know you do. You have an idea. It might not be the right industry because you haven't done your research, because you haven't looked at industries that have, a good supply and demand arbitrage, right? Like there's a difference in where the demand is, and there's not many people supplying the demand. Maybe you're just thinking of this out of like what you like or out of what you think your skill is. But business, when we learn it outside of those skill sets I named, is really figuring out what industries are moving, where is the attention going, where is their money. We didn't come to talk about this today, but like the trades, like electrician, I don't know if you've been reading this, like, and people in the trades will for sure be the next millionaire group of, like, if you put yourself in a position to learn trades, to learn electrical work or plumbing or HVAC or any of the like hands-on type things, and you are good at it as a technician, and then you can build a business around it, you're the next, right? That's the next cash cow. We don't have enough of them. There's a huge supply and demand arbitrage. There's a huge demand for the trades, and there's no one supplying the demand. You can walk right into that industry. It might not be what you thought you would go to school for or your degree, but if it's just about earning income, you got to take a real look and say, man, there's a lot of opportunity on that side. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to go get your HVAC certification? Are you willing to be on a roof to be a roofer? Are you willing to learn plumbing or become a master electrician? Like, are you willing to do that? If so, there's lots of money in it. Again, we didn't come to talk about it, but that's why we are here on the show, is because these are things you should be thinking about if money is an issue, if it feels tight. And if you've done all your budgeting and all your other things, then we need to really figure out a way to go make more money. And so that's an idea. What I came to talk about today, though, is what we just all witnessed. If maybe you witnessed it, not sure if you did, but the Super Bowl was just this past week. And I took some time to actually watch it from home. Sometimes I would go out, but like this time I watched it from home. I wasn't too excited about the teams. So it didn't necessarily matter where I watched it, but I watched it from home. And my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, doesn't really like sports, like watching live sports on television. She's not really interested in it. So I kind of hyped her up about the Super Bowl and the ads. I was like, oh, watch the Super Bowl with us. But it's not just about the game. This is different because just like this is their championship in football, this is like the championship of marketing. This is like the championship of ads. Like the Super Bowl ads, and this is what I was explaining to her, are like the best of the best. I was like, they spend a lot of money on these ads to produce them, to make them. And she understands marketing. She's like, it's just to get you to buy things. And I'm like, yeah, but they do it in an entertaining way that, man, you're going to want to watch it. So I was hyping her up and telling her about how cool these ads are going to be. And so the game comes on, and then we start paying attention to the ads. She didn't look at all of them. I tried to get most of them. But this was almost like a marketing class, right? Like there were so many lessons to learn. I figured we'd talk about it on BizBuzz before we dive into it. 4 areas to business, I just told you, is understanding and creating skill sets in sales, marketing, financials, and operations. Right? Sales, learning to influence somebody. That's all sales is. Most people talk themselves out of being good at sales. Some of you here on LinkedIn are great at sales. You just might have it in a context of selling a product that maybe you're not all gung-ho about. You know, I know a lot of people in the pharmaceutical sales space. You like what you do, but it's kind of the golden handcuffs. You might like schmooze in the offices. Might not like selling whatever pharmaceutical product you got to go push, but the money's good and you're good at talking to people. And so you kind of stay there. So there's some people that are really good at sales that are just in a, for lack of a better term, right, a bad situation or right, a bad company. But sales is your ability to influence. That's a skill set. If you've ever been in sales, you know how much of a skill set that is. How now you've learned things that help you in regular everyday life, in negotiating with people, in communicating to people, in getting what you want out of a deal or right at the grocery store, anywhere. Sales is a skill set. So that's one area in business. I talk about financials, right? Like that's just learning profit and loss, learning how to calculate taxes, cost of goods are, and learning how to look at percentages of return on your investment, right? All those types of things. Does your business turn a profit? You got to learn the numbers side of it. Every business owner needs to know their numbers, so that's an important skill set to learn. Then you got the operation side, the system side, the emails and the CRM and the who sends out the package and how do we follow up with them and all those types of things. There are people that are just good at that part, that just like the systems part. But the fourth skill set is marketing. And marketing is your ability to garner attention. No matter what business, I help people start up their businesses a lot. They have an idea about what business they want to run. They have an idea that they want to be a business owner. And back in the day, I'll be honest, before I used to knock the business idea. And I don't mean knock it, but like if you're the 17th person to come to me and tell me you want to open up, you want to do taxes for people, I'm going to say, okay, great. But like you literally are the 17th person in the past month that told me they want to do taxes for people. So like, what's going to make you stand out? And I used to have those conversations with people. And I could tell people get discouraged because this is the thing that they've been thinking about. And that's all they want to do. And then you talk to a guy like me and I'm like, yeah, but like, what's going to make you different? Because there's only so many people during tax season that are going to come to you to do taxes. So is this really a viable business that's going to make you leave your job and build passive income? Well, I just didn't think people thought about it that way. But eventually, what I got to, instead of talking about the idea, which is fine if you're the 17th person to come ask me about the same thing, fine. What I started to learn was, regardless of what industry you pick, sales and marketing are going to be the two things you got to work on if you've never been a business owner before. How do you influence people? How do you communicate to people? How do you talk to them so that they buy what you have, so that you can exchange value in that way, so that you can influence them to do what's right for themselves if you believe that's your product or service? That's sales ability. Most people don't have it. The product, or regardless of the industry, do you know sales? That old saying, like you could sell, ice to an Eskimo. That literally means like it don't matter what the product is. If I can influence you and I've built a skill set to sell, then I can make sure you get anything. That's a skill. The other skill is marketing, which is attention. How do we garner people's attention? And if you don't know how to do that, any business you try will be hard. It doesn't matter if you sell jewelry or tires or open a restaurant or financial services or real estate or anything. If you don't know how to get attention, go from 10 people knowing your name to 100 people to 1,000 people. If you don't know how to do that, your business is going to suffer. It's going to be hard long term. It's just inevitable. So what I realized was it didn't really matter about the product or the industry or those types of things when people were coming to me. It was a matter of like, do you know sales and do you know marketing? How much have you practiced sales and marketing? How much have you done those things? Marketing in 2026 is the key to get you all the things that you want. Money follows attention. Money follows attention. So if you learn how to get attention in our society, it's likely you can monetize that. You might not know how to do that right away, but your first step is can I get people to see me? Can I get people to hear me? Can I get people to know my name? Can I get people to know my face? Can I get people to know what I stand for, what I'm about, what my reputation is, what I care about, what I like to talk about, what value I bring to the world, my family life, my faith life? Can I get people to know me? Can I get people to know me? Can I get people to see exactly who I am? That's marketing. So the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl of ads, right? It's the time that marketers get a chance to come out and say, we have a captive audience. A lot of people watch the Super Bowl all across the world, and we're going to get a chance to put our best foot forward in garnering attention, in gaining attention. So for those of you that were watching the Super Bowl, some of the ads, I got a list here on the back end of some of the ads, some of the industries, a lot of tech and AI, gambling, consumer packaged goods, right? Food, beverage, beer. The auto industry was on there. Pharmaceutical, healthcare industries were in there. Consumer goods, personal care, real estate and finance, and then entertainment and travel. Those were the top industries. We saw companies like Anthropic and FanDuel and OpenAI and Netflix and Squarespace and Google and Meta and AI.com. You had Nike, Expedia, Dunkin', Instacart, Pringles, Ring Camera, which is Amazon, really, Budweiser, Levi's, Uber Eats, Microsoft, State Farm, DraftKings. These were all the types of businesses, the notable businesses that were. And so these were the people that were trying to get your attention, so that you could buy something. Here's the thing. They spent an enormous amount of money. I share this with my daughter. They're spending $8 to $10 million for a 30-second spot. So just to secure the spot that you have, it's $8 to $10 million. Then you have production costs to produce a good video. Some of them, the age-old, let me put a celebrity, let me put a notable face that people like, brand recognition. Let me borrow this brand recognition and put it in your face. So when you see that 90s ad, you saw the 90s sitcom ad where if it was clearly AI. I can't remember if that was AI.com or Duncan. I forget who did that one. But literally it was all the Seinfelds and the Steve Urkels and the Friends and all the different 90s sitcoms were all reimagined. The characters all were reimagined. I think Different Strokes on there? I don't know. Different World was on there, right? There's a few different ones, but either way, they were getting our attention by brand recognition, by saying, "Ooh, I know that person, so I'm going to watch it. Oh, I know what Screech looks like from Saved by the Bell, or I know what George Costanza looks like from Seinfeld. So that's going to bring me, that's going to make me pay attention to it more." So we watch that happen. The brand side of things, but they're spending a lot of money to produce that. So what can we learn? By the way, I'm curious to see what were your favorite Super Bowl ads? Clip this up. What were your favorite Super Bowl ads? I'm curious to hear. Are there ones that stood out to you? Drop them in the comments because I'd love to hear. Let's talk about it. What really intrigued you? What really garnered your attention? What got your attention? Because there's a bunch. But again, what can we learn from it? Some things that we can take away from some of these Super Bowl ads. Again, they were super expensive. People are spending a lot of money for them. All of the companies, like we noted, some of the top industries, the tech side of things, the AI side of things, huge, right? Lots of tech businesses, lots of AI stuff. Maybe just because they have the money, maybe because they want your attention. They want you to use these platforms. Some of the legacy CPG brand, the Pepsi Pepsi had a great commercial with the bear that used to be for, right? The bear mascot that kind of is in the Coca-Cola commercials. I don't know if you pick that up, in Christmas where they have like the Coca-Cola bear with Santa Claus or whatever. Well, the bear is now trying Pepsi. That was very smart. Lay's, I saw, had something in there. Pringles had something in there. Some of these like legacy, like food brands, but lots of tech, lots of AI stuff. Here's the thing that I noticed, which I think is also important, how quickly the ads were moving. Did you notice that? The ads were moving very quickly. Like it would go back to back. Like you wouldn't know when one ended and one started. Why do you think that they did that? Because they know we live in this TikTok-fication of society, this reels, everything's real quick. I need the first 3 seconds matters. I need to grab your attention in the first 3 seconds when I'm on the phone. I think they're trying to adapt to that. So that's why it was very fast moving. I don't think they needed to do that. I think it's different when we're on the phone and we have the ability. But if we're locked in to look at something, it's kind of like watching a movie. They don't necessarily have to get you in the first 3 seconds. They have to just make this interesting enough to watch the full 30. I think it's different. But either way, that was something noticeable. They're adapting to how we now talk about attention. This is important for you if you want to go off and learn to make more money. Marketing is something to pay attention to, because if you can get attention behind something, you likely can get money for it. Marketing just exposes if you have a good product or a bad product. You can market a really, really bad product and people will just find out. If you have really good marketing, it'll just expose you a lot faster. They're like, this product really isn't good. We sent millions of people to this website and it really wasn't good. The product sucked, like all that stuff. But if you have a really, really great product or a great service and you enhance it with marketing, it'll show how good it is and that'll amplify it. But marketing, your ability to garner attention in 2026, huge. They're outside of just the Super Bowl ad that we're talking about, there's just a case study of this. Some of you might have seen it with Dr. Pepper. If you didn't see it, right, I was just sharing this with someone else knew the exact same thing with Dr. Pepper. There's a young lady on TikTok that was creating jingles, and she was doing it for lots of different companies. And she created one for Dr. Pepper that just hit, but it only hit on social media. It went viral. There was a bunch of people that started singing it, but Dr. Pepper didn't do anything with her until it seemed like people put pressure on. She had so much attention, marketing. She had so much attention on this one jingle that it forced the company, Dr. Pepper, to come around and say, okay, you've got a lot of attention for this. I think we need to do something about the attention. And they paid her $1 million for her jingle, for her 7-second jingle, right? $1 million. Money follows attention. In 2026, if you can learn how to get attention, money can follow that. So if you are a person that wants to increase your cash flow, you're at a job right now, you don't think the job is going to have the horsepower to get you to where you want to go in life. Sure, it might sustain you for the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5, but over the next 10, it's not going to do it for you. If you already know that, then you should be focused on garnering some attention. You don't know what the product is. See, sometimes we go the other way because we're just not aware. We think we got to have the right business, the right product, the right idea, and then go do it. No, maybe you just need to get some attention for what you already do, for how you already live, for who you already are, for the thoughts you already have. Maybe you need to get some attention around that. And then through that process, you can potentially see where there might be money. What could monetize? Maybe someone reaches out to you because you like making jingles. If I would have put time and energy into that, I would have made jingles. I have a good buddy I talked to about this 7, 8, 9 years ago that we should make jingles, right? We should make jingles. And now in 2026, where someone could upload a video on TikTok of them singing a 7-second jingle, pays out $1 million. This is why Super Bowl ads are important. This is why marketing is important, because you need to learn how to garner attention. It's a skill set in 2026 and beyond that you're going to need. So in these Super Bowl ads, this was a time to study. This was a time to see, oh, okay, how do the biggest brands in the world, the ones that spend 10, 15, 20 million dollars on a 30-second spot between production and the actual cost of the ad, 10 to $20,000 to put this in front of you for 30 seconds. What do they believe marketing is? And what can I learn from them? Because success leaves clues. And can I take that and then apply it in something I'm doing to go make money? This is how we learn. You could go back $20,000 a semester to learn some marketing, or you could have watched the Super Bowl and taken some notes and been like, I wonder why they do that. I wonder why the ads are so fast. I wonder why there's a lot of AI. I wonder why they put well-known people inside of these ads. I wonder why they would spend so much money doing it. I wonder why, right? Like if you just start thinking about it, you can too learn how to market. If the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl of ads, the Super Bowl of marketing, you paying attention to it and learning something from it can actually help you in your cash flow. That's why we're talking about it. Business is sales, marketing, financials, and operations. If you ever want to go design something where you can bring in income the way you want to, marketing, your ability to garner attention, is going to be a skill set you need, or you need to be able to identify that in someone else to bring them on your team. We can learn a lot from the companies that spend tens of millions of dollars doing it. And so I wonder, what was your favorite Super Bowl ad? What was your favorite one? What was the one that stood out to you? Drop your comment down because I want to hear it so we can talk about it, because I'm curious what garnered your attention. You know, the one that garnered my attention, there was a few. One, I'll tell you, the one that garnered my daughter's attention was the Minions. The Minion comes running out of nowhere, right? Like it's the first 10 seconds, maybe even the first 15 seconds of the ad is the Minion running from really far back. Like, ah. My daughter's paying it, locked in, like she got it. That was attention grabbing for her. Made sense. Now she probably wants to go see the Minions movie. That's marketing. You can do that. What garnered that child's attention? A notable figure, something relatively humorous and funny. Got it. Okay, now when you go to create your product or when you have your business idea, now you know humor works. Now you can see, okay, I don't need to just, if I had, and again, it's a TV commercial, but the first 10 seconds, I maybe don't have to have anything. It can be something very like off in the background and it could still work. So I noticed that got my daughter's attention. You know the one that got my attention? The Coinbase one. Did anybody see the Coinbase one? Backstreet Boys, karaoke. Everybody, yeah. Rock your bot, right? That one. Do you remember that one? It came on just like a karaoke feed, blue screen, just like you would see in karaoke, blue screen, and the words started coming up. And they started rolling through just like karaoke. And why that was so important is because before you knew it, it was only 3 of us in the house. It was me, my wife, my daughter. But I can imagine being at a party, or I can imagine being in a group setting and like that commercial coming on and one person singing it, and then a second person joining in, and then a third person. Before you know it, there's a bunch of people singing karaoke, because that's what it looks like on the screen, karaoke. They're singing it, and then it hits you with Coinbase. There's so many Super Bowl ads that like you'll remember the ad, but you won't remember the company. Well, they figured out, oh, okay, if we can just get everyone to really pay attention, a notable song that people like to sing along with, karaoke, which is big in our society these days, and everyone knows what karaoke looks like. And we can get people singing because they're like, what is this? And then they start being recognized by like the words of the song. And then you hit them with your brand. Then you hit them with your company. Genius. I think that was very, very smart. That's why it stood out to me. That's why I remembered it. I don't know what your favorite one was. I don't know what your favorite Super Bowl ad was. I don't know which one was most memorable to you, the thing that stood out the most. But I think if you are going to, again, tie this all in, if you are going to learn how to increase your income, marketing is something you got to learn. And you can learn from the most successful brands with the most money on something like Super Bowl to go back and say, sure, there's the conversation of what agenda are they pushing. You can always go there. There's obviously an agenda. There's something that they're trying to get to us. That's a part of marketing also. But if you just peel that back and say, well, let me just look at the creative. Let me just look at the style of how they do this, because maybe I can take some of that and I can do it for what I'm trying to do, for the business I'm trying to run, for the partner that I'm trying to attract into our business. Maybe I can learn something from that and it'll increase my cash flow. Ladies and gentlemen, success leaves clues. There's clues everywhere for what to learn and how to grow. And I think one of these areas of growth is marketing. And we got a chance to watch it here on the Super Bowl this past weekend, right? So that's a little talk on marketing. Hey, listen, we can have a lot more of these conversations. Like I said, drop your comments to tell me what your favorite Super Bowl ad was, what was memorable to you, what stood out. Like I said, was it that it was going really fast? Was it the lots of colors? Was it too much AI or too much tech? Was it that we didn't see a lot of the in-store Macy's, this storefront, right? The retail side, retail didn't do well on there outside of Amazon and Ring. There's really not much retail. Does that mean retail is dying, right? We've had this conversation here on BizBuzz. Does that mean retail is dying? Does that mean they don't have the money to market? Does that mean it shifted somewhere else? You can learn a lot of things by just paying attention, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what you got to do. If you upgrade your skill sets, you'll make more money. We make money at the level of our skill set. My encouragement to you is, if you want to go make more money and you want to do it outside of corporate America, because again, that strategy is you just got to climb the corporate ladder. You got to learn how to do that. But if you want to do it outside of corporate America, that's no longer the thing that you want to make happen. Then we got to increase our skill sets. We got to raise our salesmanship. We have to talk about marketing and learning how to market ourselves and garner attention. And we have to actually apply the things that we're learning. Super Bowl was a great time to be able to pick that up, y'all. All right, y'all, it's Friday 13th. Hey, go out and do something that scares you this weekend, right? Because not just because of the date, but for real. Like, go out and do something that pushes you out of your comfort zone. I always tell you that. I'll be back here next Friday for another BizBuzz Live, y'all. Be well. Until next time.